Hi, dear viewers. Sudha Ragunathan here. While I still am kind of recapping last week's episode with Shankar Mahadevan, my mind automatically hums Breathless. I'm sure all of you enjoyed the show as much as I did presenting it and interacting with Shankar, except, of course, for the network from my side, which was determined to play spoil sport. Now we are on to episode 9 of Expressions Espresso, coffee for you and tea for me. If last week made us all breathless, this week is going to be a pumping of adrenaline episode. Known for his realistic and grounded stories, strong female characters, and a very sophisticated treatment of his scripts, he is one of the most sought after and admired filmmakers in the Indian film industry, with many noteworthy films to his credit: Minnale, VTV, Varnamayiram, Ennai Arindal, Vetiyadu Vilayadu, Kaka Kaka, Ennai Nokki Payum Tota, just goes on, the list goes on. We all know about these super hits, but do you really know the director behind all of it? He is also a musician's delight. With a keen ear for good music, a good singer himself, I think music has been a main victory factor in all his films. Apart from his association with films, what else does he enjoy most? He loves reading, baking, and cooking. He definitely has twinkle toes and loves dancing. He plays a lot of cricket, trains for a couple of hours every day. That's his fitness mantra. And he has a very big sweet tooth, he claims. Apart from all this, music has been and is and will remain always a part of him, which reflects in the way he handles music in all his films. He has worked very closely with Raja Sir, Oscar winner A.R. Rahman, Haris Jayaraj, and Karthik. So when can we expect him to tune for his own movies? A very big warm welcome to the man who has kept us all on the edge of the seat with his thrillers and makes us go home humming with his musicals. Gautham Vasudev Menon, for you. Hi, Gautham. Thank you for being a part of Expressions Espresso.
Thank you, ma'am, for having me on. Or maybe I'll just call you Sudha, at the risk of being taken apart by everybody else. I'll call you Sudha. How are you, Sudha? Thank you for having me on your show.
Thank you. You just need to be a little more loud.
Sure, that's not a virtue of mine, but I'll try.
I know.
Known to be very soft-spoken.
Very soft-spoken, yes. I remember with my experience with singing Anul Mele. So now when we have a guest in
what a song, seriously. I mean, it's lovely to talk to you because that song plays almost every day at home. So, yeah. Very nice.
இந்த தேவ தினாடியில் மனறைகள் திறந்திடுமோ ஒரு சிறு வலி இருந்ததவே இதயத்திலே இதயத்திலே உனதிரு விழி தடவியதால் அமிழ்ந்து விட்டேன் மயக்கத்திலே உதிரட்டுமே உடலின் திரை அதுதான் இனி நிலாவின் கரை கரை அனல் மேலே பனித்துளி. What a song, as you
Well,
said.
I was hoping you'd sing, which is why I sang. So thank you.
And it has
That's
a
the original version, and this is just the
your ID in it. I'm happy you started with music. I'm really happy you sang it too. Because I was just telling the audience that you love music and you also sing. And one day we can expect you to, kind of be your own music director, perhaps.
No, I think when I have the opportunity of working with people like Rahman sir, Raja sir, Harris, Darbuka Shiva, Karthik, Anirudh, I want to work with, the list goes on. So when I have the access and the opportunity, I would never, I think, put myself out. So once, maybe some film, if these guys all say no, then maybe I might just try it out. So let's see.
You never know when the soul calls. So don't put that away. Maybe one day you'll wake up with, all swaras in your head and you'd want to translate all that into music.
Thank you. Coming from you, I'll take that. Yeah, thank you.
So with the lockdown situation on and going on and on, I can't but not talk about it because I think it has had a major influence in all our lives, in our professions, in how we have conducted ourselves over the last few months. So did you have, shooting scheduled and you had to cancel it? And was there a workaround? What happened?
We were all set to go to the US, believe it or not. We'd worked, the team out who all would travel and where all we'd shoot and everything. There was a line producer who was like working with us very closely. This is for the film Joshua Imai Polkaka. And closer to lockdown, we knew that this looks a little skeptical because of the whole word coming in that this is serious and, for travel might not be easy. And getting there, you might have to like get into self-isolation and all that stuff. So, and then once the lockdown announced, all those plans went for a toss, and I've reworked the script, I've changed things around, and I'm waiting to start shoot with a totally reworked sort of an idea right now. So
that's wonderful. That's wonderful. I mean, you don't let the challenge kind of overcome you. You want to fight with the challenge.
Yeah. See, that's the thing I keep talking about also. We were going at breakneck speed, everything was deadlines and this actor's date and we have to get there and we have to try this and we have to try that. And then suddenly there was this hand from somewhere above which just said, hey guys, just hang on, nothing's going to happen for now. And we were okay with that. I'm saying okay in the sense, I know it's chaos. There's economic chaos all around and stuff like that. And people are stranded, homeless. People are traveling, your heart goes out to all of that. But somewhere within that, I think we are sort of built to sustain, right? We are built to function around all that. And you've seen this from time to time where you're thrown aside and then you just have to pick up and then start all over again. I think this is that moment. And I think we are capable of that and we are designed for that, I think. And we will do that.
But in the situation, நம்ம new normal அப்படின்னு ஒரு பேர் வச்சிருக்காங்க. Do you think the film industry will really be able to adapt itself to the new normal? Or do you feel newer concepts like OTT is a practical way out for the industry?
I think change is the only constant and you have to be ready to accept that. At every point, small example, from film, there was this transition to digital, cinema, from film cameras, we started shooting with digital cameras. And that change, even for somebody like me who'd shot like 4-5 films on, film, was not easy. And we're still stickler for film and all that stuff, but there are no labs to even process those films, So we accepted that. And then we realized the advantage of, shooting, going digital and what all you could do. And likewise, I'm sure, doors are opening and we will find new ways to adapt and stuff like that. And firm believer of films in theaters, the whole experience of watching a film in the theater. But I think OTT will coexist. You know, the platform will coexist along with the experience of going to the theaters to watch. It's also a great alternative platform for filmmakers to sort of exhibit their ways. So why let go of an opportunity like that? The whole idea of putting out content on OTT or your digital platforms is it a liberating way of filmmaking also. Your shots are not restricted to a certain time. You can actually shoot in the way that the content needs to be filmed. Like if a particular line deserves a certain kind of treatment, then you give it that and not worry about 2.5 hours or half an hour or 45 minutes and stuff like that. So but one of the small examples I'm talking about. So I think it's going to be great because you have both this sort of coexisting, and it's just more opportunity for filmmakers. That's all it is.
But does it somewhere take away the grandeur, the largest of the industry?
So that's again what we're discussing. I think only event films will bring audience to the theater, so you need to make those films. You can't cheat the audience by making a smallish film and say come to the theater and watch it. They want to come to watch for the grandeur, for the spectacle of watching that film, and you better make films like that. If actors slash their rates a little bit, directors slash their rates a little bit, and if everything becomes very conducive for big films to be made, people will come in hordes to a theater. I think once this sort of there is the word that this chaos is over to a large extent, I think people will flock to the theaters because of the content they're sitting at home and watching. They just want to go and experience that in the bigger screens. I think they'll just come. I'm hopeful. I'm positive. Yeah.
We know that your father has been a strong influence in your life, and Varanamayiram was conceptualized as an ode to him. Is that right?
Yes. Yes.
Can you share more of your interaction with your father, how he influenced you to film in a certain way, or maybe write your script in a certain way?
So even this morning, somebody was asking me, watching Varanamayiram, I was thinking, are all fathers like this? I can't think of any other way for a father to be. And I think it's how I am also with my boys and how I see other people also with their children, or how I've seen fathers with their, sons or daughters. It's the only way to be. For me, I can't even handle the thought of a father in a film being shown as the antagonist or a negative character or wanting to impart some harm on his kids or on somebody, so that doesn't augur well with me at all. For me, the idea of music that played in my house from the time I was a child and from the time, an early memory sort of sets in, was something that my dad played over the system at home or over the radio or something that he used to listen to. And the conversations between dad and mom about music is the first strains of music that I heard. And, the films that he asked me to watch, even though he was not somebody who'd like to go to the theaters for every film, he'd pick and choose his films to go to the theater. And he'd tell me about the classics that I should watch with no idea that I wanted to be a filmmaker, At 12, 13, there used to be a Raj Kapoor retrospective on television, on Doordarshan, and he'd tell me, watch Shri Char Sobis, watch Avara, and then he'd pick a Gurudutt film and say, watch Pyasa. And then he asked me to watch Dead Poets Society, Robin Williams. He asked me to watch Scent of a Woman, Al Pacino. So these are films that he would watch and say, you watch this. And then somewhere at 15, I watched Nayagan. And for me, the whole imagery opened up in my head. And I decided I want to be a filmmaker, but I don't know how to go about it. I joined engineering because I thought that's what my mother wanted me to do. If I just had a conversation with her, I wouldn't have gone into 4 years of engineering, I think. But then it's all good because I met some lovely people there and all that. When I came back, I mentioned this to my father, and he said, if that's what you want to do, just go ahead and pursue it, So he was like a friend, like even with the girlfriends and everything, he'd see me standing on the road somewhere under one tree, one shady corner and talking to somebody. He'd stop by, he'll say, come home, bring her home and come. Don't stand on the road and talk, And he used to smoke a lot, but he'd tell me, never do this, I'm not able to give it up, which is why I'm saying, don't even start this. So it was always one very friendly hand on your shoulder, leading the way through. There was a lot of struggle, with not even middle class strata of society, economic background. It was all tough and everything, but they never showed a single sign of that being an issue. It was always hush hush conversations. Even if they had an argument, the next day it would be like back to square one. So my idea of my love for music, my love for films, and my love for love itself, for romance itself, stemmed from what I saw of my father and how he was with my mother, with his wife, and all that stuff. So when Surya and I set out to make a film, which is a coming of age story, there was no father angle to it. My father was unwell at that point, and I was struggling to write because it was just not a time to be creative at all. Surya understood that, and he was patiently waiting. And I thought, my dad was going through cancer and all that. So I said, let me take this 1 week and go and write, because I think he'll be okay for some time. I spoke to the doctors and all that. And I traveled to write the script, but en route, maybe I was somewhere and I got a call from my wife saying it's looking really bad, so just talk to him and stuff. I couldn't talk to him because he passed away immediately. On the way back, I just put together, just thoughts about my father from the first time I remembered of him till the last time I met him. And about 10 days later, when I met Surya, I just narrated this idea to him, saying, it's not an idea. I said, this is what I put down as, thoughts of my father and stuff. And I'm seeing if I can bring this to the film. He said, this is brilliant. And you know what? Let me play both the characters, he said. So that's how, Varanam Ayram happened. Surya saw it even before I saw it. And he picked it and he said, let's do this. For me, I was too young. I had not achieved anything in life, even now, to make an autobiographical sort of a film, But then one thought kept ringing in my ear saying, no matter what, every family will identify with a father like this. It doesn't have to be a Gautham Vasudev Menon story sort of. And Surya, okayed that. So that's how that film happened. And there was a national award for the film and all that. So somewhere there is a overseeing hand sort of a thing behind that film, I think. So,
yeah. I'm so happy that your father had such a positive influence on you, and Varanam Ayram was what turned out to be an ode and also won the national award for you.
Yes.
What more can you ask for, right?
Absolutely.
So now, because your mother loves music, I know, and because she has had the music, kind of past music as an influence to you, I want to sing this for her and for you as well. Kannamma singanjiru kiliye kannamma selva kalanjiyame என்னை கலி தீர்த்தே உலகில் என்னை கலி தீர்த்தே உலகில் ஏற்றம் புரிய வந்தாய் சின்னஞ்சிறு கிளியே கண்ணம்மா சின்னஞ்சிறு கிளியே பிள்ளைக்கு நீயமுதே உங்க அம்மா உங்களை கொஞ்சரா மாதிரி பிள்ளைக்கு நீயமுதே கண்ணம்மா பேசும் பொற்சித்திரமே பிள்ளைக்கு நீயமுதே கண்ணம்மா பேசும் பொற்சித்திரமே பள்ளி அணைத்திடவே முன்னே உங்க அப்பா உங்களை அணைக்கிற மாதிரி அள்ளி அணைத்திடவே முன்னே அள்ளி அணைத்திடவே முன்னே ஆடி வரும் தேனே சின்னஞ்சிறு கிளியே கண்ணம்மா சின்னஞ்சிறு This was probably Bharatiyar's most emotional poem, right? And we usually kind of attribute it to a girl child, but I feel it's neutral. Girl or boy, the child.
Thank you for singing. And I think, with all due respect to everybody else, past 2-3 weeks I have been on a couple of chats and everything. But my mother is most excited about this. So, you know why.
At what point of time in your life, I know you said it partially, you started with engineering, but then when did you have the guts? You need the guts to kind of leave what you're doing and then jump into something which is your calling. So how did that happen, and when did it happen?
As soon as I finished college and I got back home, and there was this job opportunity which I went and took up and all that. But I clearly told I sat them down. I told them that this is not what I want to do. I'm taking this up. Yes, some money will come in for the first 2-3 months, but I'm going to be looking to work as a filmmaker, which means I have to go about meeting directors and trying to work with them. This is a journey. There'll be a sort of a 3-4 years as working as an assistant director, learning the ropes, because I don't think now I can go and join the film institute and all that. So they were very positive about it. They were just worried if I knew how to go about it. And they knew I was going to go, they knew I was going and standing in Mani Ratnam sir's office every day between work or after work or before work, trying to see if I can get to work with them. And every day I'd report to them very religiously saying it's not happening, but I'm sure it will and all that. And strangely, at some point, it was my mother who suggested that there is this filmmaker called Rajiv Menon who makes a lot of ad films. And I happen to know his aunt, and I've got you a sort of you can go and meet his aunt and maybe his mother, and they might put in a word to Mr. Rajiv. So I did that, and then I was asked to go and meet Rajiv sir, and he just looked at me and said, "Done engineering? Okay, come in." So that's how it started. But I took a call immediately after engineering to tell them and sort of pursue the calling, so to speak. So it was at that time, yes.
Has there been at a point in your life, any point in your life, when you thought, maybe I should have continued my job? No, I don't think so.
Not at all. Yeah, because I wasn't being honest there. The people I was working with also knew I was not interested in that. In fact, I remember a conversation with my boss at that time. It was a subsidiary company of Wipro, and we were selling AutoCAD software. And I used to go and do the marketing calls and all that. But he sat me down one day and he said, "I know you're doing your work, you're doing the calls and all that, but your heart's not in this, right?" I said, "Yes, sir, I want to be a filmmaker." And so I remember this conversation with him. It was in my being. People could see that around me. My girlfriend, who's my wife today, but girlfriend at that time, she had no clue about this whole industry and how it works. She thought after you work as an assistant director, you end up becoming a manager of that office, which makes films. You'll be a manager there. She never thought life would become so busy and hectic and trying to be creative and the bouquets and the brickbats. She never expected all that, So it's all very, very surreal in that sense.
Both of us are in a profession that is creative, right? We need lots of creativity. But then we also need somebody to put us on a groove, on a path. So I had my guru, ML Vasantakumari Amma. So can you tell us about your guru or mentor or any of the directors who've had a major influence on your filmmaking?
Oh yes, and I've mentioned this to him many times recently, to the point that he might even get irritated, I think, if I'm talking about it continuously. But completely Mani Ratnam sir. I mean, I've studied his films, so that was my film school, so to speak. And I didn't get an opportunity to work with him. I tried for about 3 years. I could meet only the chief associate director, who kept saying, "Yes, I'll get you a meeting with him," and all that. But I never could, work with him. And even as recent as 6 months ago, I asked him if I could come and work on a film with him, And he very, with his brand of sense of humor, he said, "I think the best thing that's happened to you is you not working with me, Gautham," is what he said. So I've studied his films. So from the time I watched Nayagan, images opened up in my head. I started studying the way the camera is moved. Why is the camera moving in this particular shot like this? So there is a reason why, if a dialogue is being, it's filmed and the camera is moving, charging in with the perspective closes in and all that stuff. So the imagery opened up because of that film. And I've studied every film of his. I've gone to the theater with a notepad the second time. The first time was just as an experience of watching his film as audience and all that. But the second time, and I watched every film of his on day one itself like 3 times. And I used to take Preeti, my wife, along also at that time, and she'd come only for the Mani Ratnam films and no other films. She's not from a film family; they're not film buffs as such. So she'd come only because she knew about my passion for this filmmaker's work, and she was just there by my side always. And the second time was always with a notepad, noting down number of scenes, shots, how many cuts are there within a shot, and then after the advent of DVDs and initially VHS and all that, lots of studying happened. So I learned watching his craft on my screen at home, sort of thing. So he's my mentor in any which way possible.
Is that the reason why I find a lot of moments of silence in your movies, and the dark and lighted parts? You know what I mean?
I think to even talk about my films equating with his films is akin to blasphemy, so let's not go there. very honestly, and being very, at the risk of sounding very modest, I'm saying this. But yes, there's a large influence in my filming. But I still think, I have miles to go to even, reach the kind of, what's the word to use, splendor that he managed to achieve with his work. Yeah.
After you said yes to talking on this show, I was talking to a friend. And then we got into talking about your movies, and she said, there is a lot of style and class in his movies. The hero and heroine have an outstanding costume sense, it appears. And that has created a trend in terms of the complete makeover of the stars, the hero and the heroine. So how do you bring in this refreshing change? Like VTV had a certain kind of saris for Trisha.
Yeah. Obviously, I've had the good fortune of having worked with lovely people, people who've gotten into my mind and figured out this is what I want. And to a large extent, these technicians and these people have taken my journey forward. Nalini Sriram, to a large extent, because she understood that this is what I wanted. We actually went and filmed, it might sound odd now, but we actually went and filmed all these women who were standing at the bus stops, heading to their work as being part of the IT when the buses would come and pick them up and all that. So we had a conversation about whether they're wearing saris or whether they wear, kurtis or kurtas and jeans or shirts and jeans or whatever, And we found that there were a lot of people on certain days who wear saris to work. And then Nalini came up with this idea of, the kind of saris that you saw, and that became a rage. I think there was attention to what they were wearing. We also tried to make it as real as possible. There was nothing outlandish. There was nothing that would make it seem like it's larger than life or it's not real. But there was attention to color, the palette, within my style of filming, where I really don't care about all that. For me, it just has to look real. That's all it is. Likewise, my art director Rajivan, who pretty much from my first film has worked with me, the cinematographers I've worked with, and the music that I've got, from my films. I think they've been patient to listen to me, and then I just step back to see what they can bring to the table. There's never a, I don't like this. Even the tunes that have come to me, Sudha, when we've sat on composing so far in maybe 65, 70 songs across films, they've always been first tunes. I mean, I could have still asked Raja sir for another tune, but it's not because I was scared to ask him, but because I liked what I got. More than liked, I felt a connect to the tunes. I felt a vibe, which is how I work even with people. When I feel that vibe, I just take that, that journey or the relationship or the friendship forward with people, or even that working equation. And that's how it's been so far. And everything is on an impulse. Everything is experimental. I have no idea how this particular conversation will go. You did ask me whether we can share questions and all that. I said, no, let's just take it as it comes. So everything is experimental. Wait for feedback. If people hate it, yes. If people like it, great. That's all it is.
So now, when it comes to songs, when it comes to music, you have the music director, you have yourself, you have the lyricist, and then the strongest song is kind of structured. How do you arrive at who should sing this song?
That's a calling that happens. So strangely, there have been a couple of times when we've recorded, and halfway through the recording, the composer and I would look at each other and figure out this is not working. And they would have been good friends or people who, have a certain standing in the industry and all that, but we've still gone ahead and changed the voice because we know while the song is happening that the magic is not happening. And I feel it largely, So especially with your song and the songs that Bombay Jayashree, has sung, or even the song that Sid, has sung, they might not be actual reproduction of voices that the actors are known to have on screen and stuff like that. But somewhere there is an overall magic that we look for, and that comes through in all these songs that I mentioned, and we just go with the flow. Yes, before we take that call, there is a discussion that goes into, let's try and get somebody interesting. So there's always that interesting, new, experimental, try panlama, always that discussion is always there. And that's how, we've had the, good fortune of bringing people like you into our studios. And we've always wondered, இவங்க பாடுவாங்களா கேட்டா வந்து ஐயோ சினிமாக்கெல்லாம் வருவாங்களான்னு நாங்கள் நிறைய பேசியிருக்கோம். But in spite of that, we take that call to let's just call them and see. And a maximum illa and phone you know. So that's how we've been lucky to get people like you on board to sing our song.
Thank you, Gautham, for that song, really, because it took me to a different audience. It took me to a larger audience. And for a long while, people didn't know that I had sung the song.
Yes, I know. And it was very different.
நிஜமாவேவா கொஞ்சோண்டு பாடுங்க நிஜமா அப்படிமா அந்த குரலுக்கும் எனக்கும் அவ சம்பந்தப்படுத்த முடியல.
No, but I'm saying overall, there was no, apart from the lip sync thing in the song, there was an overall, you know, voice that comes from above sort of a thing that drove those visuals forward. And this particular song, after it was recorded and it was put in the film, there was a lot of discussion in the song, where or song pola. Other than me, Harris, and I think one of the main people, I don't mind saying it here, who insisted that the song should be there in the film was Harris's wife, Suma. You know, and I'm talking about people like people in the production and people on the team who said the song is the only song that's a little away from the genre of songs that you guys have done. But somewhere the three of us were steadfast in, you know, saying the song will be there in the film. And I think from the kind of response that I got till today for the song, we're happy that we went with that decision to just go with the flow.
அப்படி பார்த்தா அந்த வசீகரான்ற பாடல் கூட ஒரு பெரிய பாத் பிரேக்கர். You know, at a period of time when female voice in a high pitched you know, higher octaves பாடணும், even in a duet. அப்படின்னு இருக்கிற டைம்ல you brought this wonderful kind of, it was like a renaissance, you know, a low pitched, beautifully soothing, you know, kind of soothing melody and the words.
Yes.
Who would expect Vasigara in the first line?
Absolutely. I think Harris, firstly, for coming up with something like that. Thamare, of course, because she understood the mood. It was our first film, and we were all really, you know, nobody was taking us seriously, and we had to really fight for a lot of things. But somewhere, you know, we vibed well. There was this great vibe between the three of us, and she gave us a lot of options, and we picked this. And obviously, the idea to get Bombay Jayashree to sing that song, which is also again super experimental, if you ask me, because the voice was for Reema Sen, and the visuals were also. And honestly, if you ask me, I didn't like the way we filmed that song because we couldn't get both the actors together. So it's on a checklist of mine to actually reshoot that song and put it in some other film, you know, at some point. Everything else remains the same, but the visuals will change. So I think we were lucky to get that song, you know, going, all three of us, Thamare, myself, and Harris, and we were able to give it to Jayashree ma'am for her to sing that. Yeah.
In your movie ENPT, you believe in all these alphabets, using all the alphabets. I think
it comes about. We never set it up. It comes about. That's how people refer to it. It's a largely, you know, social media driven world these days, is what people think. I don't. But these sort of, you know, AYM, ENPT, VTV are all coined by fans online and stuff like that, and then it sticks. That's all it is. It's not something that we put out. Yeah.
So you've chosen Darbuka Shiva, right, for the music, and it really topped the charts, very much ahead of the actual movie being released. So I would ask you as a friend, how do you come away from the usual set of people that you work with and chose somebody very new? I mean, it's all good to choose one new singer for one song, but then for the entire music, to hand it over to a newcomer, it requires a kind of faith and trust in the person.
I think so. I think that was the only good thing about that film. Looking back in retrospect, I'm so happy I picked, you know, at least, you know, there was one right thing that went, you know, right about that film was Darbuka Shiva. Again, I went and met him for some other film's audio launch in Kovilpatti, and we just sat talking about that film's music and something about that film's music and the kind of, you know, words he was using and the things that he was saying, which is not music at all, but something about the guy, you know, worked for me. And that's all it was. The next thing I know, obviously once Rahman sir said that he's a little busy and maybe, you know, it'll take another 6 months for him to, you know, get to work on this particular film, I thought, okay. And I told him, and I just called Shiva and said, I've already shot lots of the songs as moments and stuff without the songs, as with references in my head. this is the songs in the film, and these are the moments, this is the mood. I want you to make the songs. And he was surprised himself that I was calling him. And this is all based on a conversation that I had with him. And I just went with the flow of what I felt. It amounts to the vibe that I was talking about, the connect that I feel with people. It's all part of that. And that was the only right thing about that film today, the music.
We've spoken about your costumes, about your music. Now the location. The location choice வந்து மூவிஸ்ல பார்க்கறச்சே யூசுவலாவே ஒரு ரொம்ப டிஃப்ரெண்டா இருக்கு. I would even use the word exotic. It's not kind of manipulated. It just falls into place and catches the eye of the audience. Nariya backwaters, Nariya ocean. Is it the expression of love for your own state or own space, God's own country, where you hail from?
Not exactly. So I think VTV ஒரு dialogue வரும். அவங்க யாரும் என்ன வந்து உன் கண்ணு வழியா பார்க்கல அப்படின்னு. I think the cinematographers I worked with and the art director and my team, they've all seen this through my eye is all I'll say. My description, what I've told them, and I actually stepped back. Even for Vinitandi Varuvaya,
right.
I gave Manoj a good briefing about this is what I want. And the team went and picked these locations based on my description, what was there in the script, from the boats to the backwater, a house with a wall that he can jump over, which is on the, banks of the backwater sort of a thing, and a song on the boat with the moon and all that stuff. So it was all in the script. There was a road trip from Chennai to Kerala, so mark the locations for that. This is what I want. So I think they saw it very clearly through my eyes, and they picked. And I just went, I looked, I marked a few places, and we went and shot. Yes, I love Kerala. It's a place that I fall back upon too. At every point, at every 6 months, I feel like going there. Like some other places also, I love to travel generally itself. But strangely, I was born here. I was brought up here in Chennai. I studied in Trichy. My mom is Tamil, dad is Malayali. They also met while they studied in college together in Chennai, in Madras Christian College. So there was never any Kerala as such, in all our lives, except for the fact that my dad's family was from there, and I made an effort to reach out to them every 6 months and go and spend time there. And I fell in love with the place and all that. So even all the other locations, like even when there's no Kerala, even everything else, somewhere I think these guys see it with the description, and I've just been lucky to work with the right guys. Honestly, I'm saying,
So what led you to make two very strong cop-oriented films? Police ne brother andra mari kaka irundhudu. Nijamare.
Okay, thank you. Kaka Vetiyadu Enna Arindal, there was bits of a cop element even in Acham Enbadu Manam. Somewhere, I'm fascinated by the department and everything, and there's this stigma attached. You can't really approach a police officer. It's difficult to go into a police station. There's this thing attached to the officers and stuff. So I just thought, let's break that, and let's show them in really good light, and show them as people who are approachable, whom you can talk to, whom you can relate to, and that they have a life, they have their own emotional angle, they have a lot of danger associated with their lives and stuff like that. So strangely, the journey started off with me wanting to say these things, and today when I meet a lot of these police officers, young police officers, I went even around New Year's time to a place where there were a lot of young officers who had gathered, and they all came up to me and said, I came into the IPS only after I saw Kaka. And I get recognized wherever I go. I get a pat on my back, or it's easier for me to get into a place because the police officers come and say, yes, how are you? We love your work. And all that stuff. So it's not that, but it's the way I started off that journey, by wanting to show them in good light and make them sort of, normal human beings sort of a thing. Which is where Surya tells her, I'm a very normal guy, I'm a very normal person. And she says, நீங்க normal person கிடையாது, நீங்க normalனா என்னுடைய காதல நீங்க தூக்கி எறிஞ்சு போயிருக்க மாட்டீங்க, or something like that. So I love narrating stories about these guys. Yes, I think I might have done the danger element a bit, too much, overdone it a bit, where some of the heroines have died because of the policeman's work and all that. I might not do that in the forthcoming films, but other than that, I think we've handled that pretty decently.
Is that why you got into the uniform for Kannum?
Yeah, I mean, it was a role that came to me also because the team was good, and Tulkar and the producer, and they all gave me really good comfort and all that, which is very important because that's really out of my comfort zone. I never wanted to act. I didn't start off wanting to be an actor. The fleeting appearances that I did in my own film was I wanted to just celebrate that moment in my film. That's all it was, not anything else. I wanted to be behind Kamal sir in a frame, and the whole unit was there, and we were all dancing and stuff like that, very badly that too, but we were just there. So when this came to me, in contrast to the negative character in Trance, I picked it up because I just thought, why not? Always wanted to be in the department, write about the department. So why not play somebody in the police department? And there was a little twist at the end, which also worked out really well, I thought. So, yeah.
But Trance was a revelation, Gautham, really. I mean, I don't even believe that you acted that role, because you really it was so tailor-made for you, but your sentiments that you express now are totally kind of opposite. How did you fit into that role?
Again, complete comfort zone, like Anwar Rashid, Amal Nirad, Fahad Fazil, the whole team. They were very keen that I be in the film. And I did ask Anwar, sir, why do you want me in the film? It's a negative character. Why do you want me? No, he said, I've seen a lot of your interviews and you use a lot of your hand while you talk and stuff like that. And I want that, he said. So which is why we did that in a particular scene. And then Fahad draws from that in his interview scene in the second half. And he sort of takes from what I've done, because the character is from a small town and, all that. And he takes from this guy, whom he sees. So I felt comfortable in those clothes. I don't speak the language so fluently. It was live sound and all that, so completely out of my comfort zone in that sense. But the lines were given to me much in advance. I got the gist, I hang of it and all that stuff. And then I went in very confident, because before every take, 15 minutes before every shot, Fahad would get into that zone and he'd bring everybody else into that zone. So I was directed by Anwar, and at the same time, I was directed to act by Fahad, who got everybody into that zone, So it was easy in that sense. It was tough, but it was easy. Yeah. So, and I think there is this negative streak in everybody, so that comes out.
I mean, it's difficult to act a negative role, right? In the sense, just right from your eyes, right from the body language, everything has to change.
Absolutely.
Right? The way you stand, your hands in your pocket, and the way you turn, everything is like, my God, it was like you had rehearsed. You had rehearsed that particular scene so many times.
Thank you.
So I'm going to take a short break to acknowledge who's watching you now, watching us now. Kalyana Raman T, Lakshmi Sridhar, Prashant Radhakrishnan, Vidya Kalyan Raman, J. Jayant, Saraswati Krishna Kumar, Bala Natarajan, Saundarya Anand, Usha Ramakrishnan, Mahati S, Srinidhi Narayanan, Kalpana Vasudevan Iyer, Lekha, Sriram. It just goes on. Uma.
Nice.
What would you like to tell them?
Well, thank you so much. I mean, I'm sure they're all here because it's you, honestly. And I'm just happy to be talking to you.
Shubha Jagannath, Jayashree Venkateshwaran, Sirgari Shivachidambaram, Gayatri Venkatesh, Vasanti Venkatraman, Suchitra Venkat, Akshay Padmanabhan, Divakaran, Uma Prabhakrishnan.
That's my mother.
Quite a new crowd. Some of them are musicians, as you say, because it's an interesting collab or conversation. I guess people want to know what would we find common to talk about.
I know. I was wondering too, but it's going really well, I think, Sudha. And I think you have a way of getting people to talk.
Talkative person, huh? That's what you're saying. You have directed over 18 films in Tamil, Telugu, and Hindi also. But yeah, Malayalam onnu seiyala.
நிறைய ட்ரை பண்ணியிருக்கேன். இன்ஃபேக்ட் வேட்டட் வில்ல டைம்லேயே நான் லால் சருக்கு நரேட் பண்ணியிருக்கேன். And of late, I've really tried to work with Fahad, and I think it will happen very soon because
we'll wait.
I think he likes my work, and I love his work, so I'm just waiting to put together something for him. I have something for him. I've put it across also, and he said, I will be ready, and I'll just come and say, let's start shoot. Just be ready for me. So I'm hoping it'll happen.
But in trance, I think he put us all in a trance when he went to a trance.
He's brilliant. He does that.
Brilliant, right? I mean, the way
eyes and the way he performs,
kind of
everything.
be so aggressive and use the
He's one of
body
the
in
best
so
actors
many
in India
ways.
right now.
Can we talk about Queen?
Yeah, of course.
Tell us about it. எப்படி யோசிச்சீங்க? எப்படி அது வந்து ஒரு திரைப்படமா எடுக்காத நீங்க வந்து அது வேற மாதிரியா கொண்டு வந்தீங்க.
அது மடியிலே வந்து விழுந்ததுன்னு சொல்லுவாங்க தெரியுமா, அந்த மாதிரி நடந்த ஒரு விஷயம். ஏன்னா it came to us saying, can we make something on the lines of this character and everything. There was a book, there was a front sort of a thing, and then we just said yes, and I was busy writing other things, and there was a lot of other stuff going on. So Reshma, my business partner, my working partner, we run a company together, Benki, Reshma and myself, she picked it up and she said, I'll write this. And every week after that, she used to send me like one episode after the other, and I loved what I was reading. It took me to that world. It took me to this woman's world, and she seemed inspirational. She seemed, exciting. She seemed like you want to discover her from, sometimes she's 12 to sometimes she's 40. You want to travel with her. And I kept wanting to read what else is coming up, and once I read the material, I was really sold. Till then, I was a little hesitant too because it was OTT, and there were already people asking me, feature film work area. That's how people look at it.
Yeah.
But this was exciting, and I thought, I should be one of the first guys to take the plunge. And I called another filmmaker and said, we'll share episodes. So you direct 5, I direct 5, and let's pick our episodes. And there was a team that went in, and again, Ramya came in and she was brilliant. The young Shakti, played by Anika, was brilliant. Anjana was also, superlative as the young Shakti and all that. So we had great actors. Indrajit, who's really busy and really big there. I asked him to play GMR, and he just said, okay, if you're doing it, I'll come. And he discovered the script. So everything fell in place. And right now we're in discussion for a Queen season 2. The writing is on, and we're trying to figure out when we can, take the journey of Shakti forward. And Ramya is there and all that stuff. So I think we were pioneers to sort of get there. I have to say it. I'm very proud to say that we were the first to sort of move there, and not completely move, but also take that step. Completely great response from all over India. Yeah.
I haven't watched it completely, but I did watch a few episodes.
Okay.
And the one the way she was very young as a child, school going. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
You spoke about your mom. You spoke about your father. We want to talk about your family, the support of your wife.
Oh yeah. I mean, needless to mention, and even to sound cliched, without that, I wouldn't be even sitting and talking to you, because there's a lot of stuff that's taken care of. I keep saying this, and it was a decision that we took together, that if I wasn't a filmmaker, then I'd probably be doing what she's doing, and she'd probably be out working as a physiotherapist or whatever she wanted to and whatever she studied and stuff like that. So, but largely I've not spoken so much about her and the kids because that's what she likes, and she prefers to sort of stay outside the limelight, so to speak. And I'm using that only because that's the commonly used term. But great, we're more like great friends, and that's the understanding that takes one forward, I think, in life. And she's very right about a lot of things which I could be wrong about, and many times she said, don't do this, and I've gone ahead and that's not worked out, because I completely work on a whim and an impulse, and somewhere there's an intuition which says don't do it, and we've had a conversation about it later. So to a large extent, I'm sticking by what she feels and what she thinks is right, and there's no interference as such with what I'm doing. Initially, I used to narrate scripts to her. Then I decided that let me surprise her with the film. So we decided we won't narrate or get to know about the film. Like even Varna Madam, they had no clue that I was filming about my father and moments like that. So I shot at home, but they didn't know. And then when there was a funeral sequence and all that was planned, I decided that they'll come to know. So we did a set of the house somewhere else, and we shot there just so that, the family wouldn't come to know and all that. And they were all very emotionally overwhelmed by what they saw in the film. My mom was unmoved, of course. She watched it as pure film, and she said, "Nalla pannirukka," and all that stuff. So Terrific support in every department at home, and I wouldn't be what I am if that wasn't there.
Yeah, I felt this question was very important because when we get into our creative spaces, I think we forget everything. We are oblivious about the family and how much time we are spending with them. Just like you said, without Raghu's support, I really doubt I would be where I am today.
Yeah.
He would always ask, "Enna சமைக்கிறச்சையும் பாடுற, குளிக்கிறச்சையும் பாடுற." கச்சேரியில தான் போய் பாடுறீ, அப்புறம் என்னத்துக்கு முறைகின்றே இருக்கு அப்படின்னு. So I said, பாடுறது முறைகளா தெரியுறதா உங்களுக்கு அப்படின்னு அதுக்கு ஒரு சண்டை பிடிக்கும். So nice. I was curious to know, because you leave the house for days together, for months together sometimes,
yes,
right?
That happens too, yes. I try and stay at home largely. Like I don't film on Sundays and all that. Unless there's a situation that that forces us to get out there and film, I try and stay at home. Largely try and come back home early and all that. But then, yes, like you said, sometimes the time is just not in our control. It's decided by a lot of other people. And especially when a film is about to release, that's when, I need that support, because I've made it completely without discussing or, finding out whether it'll work and all that. I've just made it from my heart. And then that 1 week before release, I go into a shell. And at release, and then now, how people talk about films or they trash it, and the reviews come out, and there's a whole lot of, behind the scenes that happens when a film releases. And then the audience, and then the magic in the theaters, and whether the film is working or not, that energy comes to you. At that time, that support from home is very, very, that shoulder I lean on, and I look forward leaning on that shoulder always, and I go quiet, and they have to put up with my week, there at that point.
சினிமானாலே காதல்ன்றது ஒரு முக்கியமான அம்சம் இல்லையா? ஐ மீன், ஒரு கதையில காதல் இருக்குதான் செய்யும். But I feel your movies are based on strong love themes. Is your wife the reason for that? Or are you a romantic by yourself, or you read a lot about romance?
No, I think all that I am. Big time. And my wife, yes, but my mother and father also, even in a bigger way, because I've always seen them in a very physical, space. Always there's his hand holding or his handle me on her feet when they're sitting together. Even if they argue, the next morning it's like nothing happened. We'll think this is the end of the world, but the next morning it'll be like nothing at all. They'll be like darling each other and all that stuff. So a lot of I've insisted and asked and learned, talking about their love story and how they met, and over many dinners and breakfasts, this is the conversation that for me I want to write about it. For me, I wanted to film it. So I keep asking them, and so that hugely influenced me, and in my search for love also, and then you realize you can't go looking for love. It has to happen, which is why that line Vinaythandi is there, kaadal theriyittu poga mudiyadhu, அதுவா நம்மளை போட்டு தாக்கணும், தலையில போட்டு திருப்பணும், and all that. So when you see something like this and you go looking for love, it'll never, never strikes, and sometimes the person right next to you is the person you're going to live with the rest of your life with, but you don't know that. You're looking away, and then suddenly there's this hand that's reminding you that, listen, I'm the one for you, which you've seen in most of my films. So it's a combination of a lot of that. From the clothes they wear to the way they speak, everything is drawn from the women that I know to a large extent. Yeah, you take them away, and then maybe
sorry to butt in, but we're really running an hour almost. So I was just trying to push the next question in, as you spoke about the women. இந்த கார்த்தி ஜெஸ்ஸி பத்தி ஒரு குட்டி படம் ஒன்று பண்ணீங்க இல்லையா? அதுல ஜெஸ்ஸி பேசின அந்த டயலாக், கடைசி டயலாக், wow, I thought it was something that we all could relate to.
So even with that, there was a huge discussion about idu correct, idu vandu kallakadal, idu Tamil kalacharam idra irukku. It's not. I'm not I'm not here to impart lessons. These are two people, and probably the only two people who can have this conversation. She's given him that space, and there is a line which he'll never cross. He's on the line, but he'll never cross that line. She'll never let him also. But it's also a sneak peek into a film that I'm going to make, which is, the crazy way of how I function. I wanted to put this out. It served its purpose. We've got 70 lakh people who watched it. and there's a producer who's really interested in making that sequel. So I've got what I wanted in that sense. But it's also not scathing material that, I should feel bad about. I love what I did. And I really think this is how Karthik will speak. And like you said, I thought Jessie was Jessie, and that's how she'll speak. So that's all it is.
What do you have to say about your production house? What kind of films do you want filmmakers to make? Who are you planning to support? Who are you trying to patronize?
So again, after that first round of going wrong and learning and finding your feet, which happens with everybody, I think. With some people, it happens halfway through. With some people, it happens the fag end of their careers. Some people, it happens straight away. And it happened to us where we floundered. We didn't plan certain things well. We were the first to list abroad and bring in money from abroad and all that stuff. But the films we put that money in or on didn't actually work. We thought those stories were stories that were meant to be told, but some of those didn't work. And some worked, some didn't. But now again, after some time, we have found that space. We have set up a writer's room. There's a lot of content that's going out to the OTT platforms. I am showrunner behind a lot of shows. And I have a good producer, Mr. Aishri Ganesh, who I'm working with right now on multiple projects. I've narrated ideas to him. We're also bringing in other directors to sort of, work together and stuff. So a lot of young people, a lot of content that's being put across. As we're looking at content, we're curating content. So this lockdown has also helped us to do that, where we just step back. And I'm in conversation with a lot of other directors, and it's a lovely space to be in where you're listening to other directors talk also. And I've actually sat back and just become a student now, where I'm watching a lot of other people's work and learning. And figuring out that this time is not to be creative, it's more to learn. Let's just learn and then probably step into another zone, maybe. So I might just get into a Vetrimaran kind of a zone once my next 2-3 films come out. I want to do that.
உங்ககிட்ட ரெண்டு படம் நாங்க ரொம்ப எதிர்பார்த்துட்டு இருக்கோம். ஒன்னு வந்து துருவ நட்சத்திரம், இன்னொன்னு VTV2. சோ என்ன லெவல்ல இருக்கு, எப்ப தருவீங்க எங்களுக்கு?
VTV2 is scripting stages. அதுல இருந்து ஒரு சீன் எடுத்து தான் நான் கார்த்திக் டயல் செய்த எண் அப்படின்னு பண்ணேன். அந்த சீன் படத்துல பார்க்கும்போது எல்லாருமே இதுதான் அந்த சீனா அப்படின்னு எல்லாருக்குமே தோணும். ஏன்னா அது ஒரு ட்ரிக்கியான ஒரு இன்ட்ரெஸ்டிங்கான ஒரு விஷயமா அந்த சீன் படத்துல வரும். Dhruva Nakshatram is almost done. We finished Vikram sir's portions, and I just have a little bit of the ensemble cast to film, and I think that'll really work. I think so. I mean, I really hope it'll work. Yeah.
Good luck to you, Gautham, from all of us.
Thank you.
Now, உங்க ஷார்ட் எடுக்கிறதுக்கு முன்னாடி ஒரு கிளாப் போர்டு ஒன்னு பண்ணுவீங்கல்ல, இப்படி தான் ஷார்ட் 1 அப்படி.
அந்த ஃபிலிம்ல ஷூட் பண்ற டைம்ல அது இருக்கும். ஏன்னா we need to note down what number take is going on, what number shot is going on. ஆமா இருக்கும்.
இப்ப எல்லாத்துக்குமே ஒரு குட்டி பதில் தான் சொல்லணும். நீங்க ஒரு லைன்ல சொல்லணும். What is the toughest thing about being a filmmaker?
Writing. For me, it's writing, because that's not easy. That's why I'm looking to collaborate. Writing.
Which is the shot that you have done the maximum retakes for?
விண்ணைத்தாண்டி வருவாயோட ஹிந்தி வெர்ஷன்ல பிரதீக் பபர் அப்படின்னு ஒரு ஆக்டர் நடிச்சாரு. சிம்பு ஈஸியா பண்ண விஷயங்கள் நிறைய அவரால் பண்ண முடியல. நான் தமிழ்ல பேசிட்டு இருக்கேன், அவருக்கு புரியாதுன்னு. அதுல ஒரு நிறைய ஷார்ட்ஸ் வந்து 20 டேக் எடுத்தோம். அது ஒரு நல்ல
Of all your locations, which is the one that you hold very close to your heart?
I think it was New York, and filming Kamal sir and Jyotika in that bustling New York traffic and crowd and Times Square and all that. It was very raw, live work. There were no lights. Yes, there was a plan. We knew what we were doing, but then there was no plan. We just put them together and we moved the camera. Ravi Varman drew light from the stores, there, the shop, the malls there, shops there and everything. And we just shot, and it was lovely. And that's an experience that I will remember forever, because it was Kamal sir, and I grew up watching, being inspired by his work to get into films and all that also, and Kerala with Vidaithandi, with Simbu and Trisha, and Simbu made it so easy.
இவ்வளவு தூரம் வந்துட்டீங்க இந்த பாதையில, சரியா? இது வரைக்கும் வந்த பாதையில நான் இதை செய்யலையே அப்படின்னு உங்களுக்கு ஒரு மனசுல ஒரு குட்டி ஏக்கம் இருக்கா?
இல்ல, no regrets at all இது வரைக்கும். Even the films that have worked, the films that haven't worked, எதுலயுமே வந்து even என்னை நோக்கி பாயம் தோட்டா, there was a thought that went into the filming, yes, the energies were a little bad towards the end of the film, and that really affects me a lot. I think Dhanush didn't get me, and I didn't get him, and there were a lot of other issues that were bogging us down. So the energies weren't right, but no regrets at all. It's all put under the umbrella called learning, and hopefully, whatever liabilities and everything is all on my head. I'm not putting it on to anybody else. So I think I'm gutsy enough to say that I really don't care. I'm just going to move on and hopefully make better films. Yeah.
Sure. If you were to write your own autobiography, what would the title be? The Learning?
Learning every day is learning, Sudha. Absolutely, every day is like a first film for me. From the actors to the way you're filming to what is thrown at you, every day is a new learning. But at the end of it all, long after I've gone, I'd like to be remembered as somebody who's gone but can never be forgotten.
Under lockdown, we're all watching a lot of movies. What is one movie that you would recommend for us?
I'm a stickler for the older films still. I've only watched a lot of the films from the 80s and the 90s, Notting Hill, Scent of a Woman. Many times again, I watched The Godfather again many times.
Yes.
Last night I sat and watched Intern. It's not very old, but very recent also. Then I watched Devil Wears Prada. So films like that are anytime that you can just sit down and watch, and As Good as It Gets is another film that you can watch many times. So I think I've mentioned 6 films at least to you.
Yes, I've watched 4 of them.
Okay.
So I have only 2 more. After a not so good day, let's say the day has been very trying and challenging, how do you think you would end the day?
At home, a shoulder to lean on at home, and there are 4 or 5 shoulders here. And if not, maybe literally, just being there, listening to them talk and them telling you stuff. And honestly, I'm saying the place that I go and hide when nobody's around is a Raja Sir song anytime. That's it has to happen once a day at least. It could be, I'm not in a car these days almost for 3-4 years now. I'm on a bike. So even on the bike, there is a speaker Bluetooth, connected to my ears. Or when I come back home, or somewhere in the office, somewhere there is a 5-minute song that plays on my playlist, and it mostly will be a Raja Sir song. So, yeah.
So your mom is Uma Prabhakrishnan?
Yes, she's watching, I think.
Thank you, Mama. Thank you so much for being with us. There is a question, Gautham, from the audience. Is there any new hobby that you have developed during the lockdown?
Nothing really new. Baking, yeah, but I don't know how it's going to inspire people. I love, because it's a nice creative process. I thought it's something that I imbibed or inculcated maybe about 2-3 years ago. But I found a couple of places that I wanted to be in, like my own terrace, which just before the lockdown, my wife set it up, and we've spent a lot of time in the lockdown there. Strangely, a lot of people have gone to their terraces, but we decided we'd go even before the lockdown. It just happened that we've had our lunches and dinners there. I've filmed there. I've written a lot of stuff there. So it's a place that I've discovered very recently, and it's nice. Hobbies, nothing new. Yes, I am learning music. Every day I'm learning music in some form or the other. Even today I had a guitar class for about half an hour, which I don't know if many people know also. Even at home they don't know, but if they're not watching, then they won't know. So I'm trying to crack that at some point. It's just for me. I want to play guitar. I want to play the piano at some point in life. Yeah.
Isn't baking like making a film? You put all
It is, and over the past 3 months, it's gone really well. Earlier, there were times when the cake would crumble inside the oven, or when I take it out, it'll drop because it's not set and all that. But I've cracked that. I've experimented with that. I've tried out different kinds of ingredients, the flour to handle even the healthy versions and all that stuff. So I'm trying a lot. My kids are off sugar and all that because they're all heavily into cricket and training and all that. So I'm trying to see if I can make some healthier options also for them. So I read a lot on that. Yes, it is like making a film, except it's not so expensive. Yeah.
So what would you like to tell the audience as on a parting note?
Right now, stay safe because it's still a little very chaotic out there. Let's not be lackadaisical, or let's not just be casual about it. Let's stay safe, and I think we need to just go out, and when everything is okay, we need to just go out and seize the day. I believe in that. Everything will be all right.
So will the okay happen soon?
Yeah, I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful. I think everybody will get back to, and it's really okay. I think we have to wear this out. We have to struggle and wear this out. It's not easy to just sit across and say this, but we've all got our issues. We've all got our financial issues. We've all got creative issues. We've got lots of things going for us that are not good. But I'm very hopeful and very positive that in about 2 months' time we get back to normal.
சரி, எங்களுக்காக ஒரே ஒரு பாட்டு.
ஐயோ,
இந்த ஷோ முன்னாடி ஒரு ஆரம்பிச்சீங்க பாட்டு.
இது நான் எதிர்பார்க்கவே இல்லை. நான் தான் ஃபர்ஸ்ட் எடுத்தனே பாட்டு
எனக்கு நீங்க ஆரம்பிச்சீங்க.
ஆமா, நான் அதை எதிர்பார்க்காம வந்து நல்லா இருக்கும் அப்படின்னு பார்த்தேன்.
குட்டியா?
Okay, you have time?
Just 2 minutes. Run out of time. We have. But people are still watching, so.
ये मौसम, ये रात चुप है, ये होठों की बात चुप है, खामोशी सुनाने लगी है दास्तां, नजर बन गई है दिल की ज़बान, न तुम हमें जानो ना हम तुम्हें जाने, मगर लगता है कुछ ऐसा मेरा हमदम मिल गया. Sorry, Sudha ma'am.
मिल गया. Ban gaya, Shobhi. Thank you, Gautham, for being with us. I know all of you are kind of bogged down by a lot of requests, but you chose to take this request, and I'm grateful for that. It was great sharing these beautiful moments of your making, the movie making, the song making, everything. Wishing all of you at home good health. That's very important, I feel. In today's scenario, I feel that is the first wish that we should make to ourselves. Good health and peace and happiness. Right?
Thank you, Sudha. I know how enthralled we were after the session where you sang and left the studio, and when we heard the song so many times. I know what that song did for the film and my own creative space. It's a song that I listen to when I write my other scripts. So there's no way I would have said, and I know your work also. I know what you're doing and what you've done, and so there's no way I would have said no to you across many lifetimes.
Thank you, Gautham. That's such a big validation for me. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.
Good night. So we come to the end of Expressions Espresso 9. I'm sure all of you enjoyed this particular interaction because the network helped us to be intact, audio and video. I will be back with all of you with another surprise soon. Stay safe, as Gautham said, and goodbye, and do a lot of creative stuff. See you all.